America's favorite game is back. Fantasy football is coming back. Now, today's video is my fantasy football big board for 2016. This is only going to be the top 25, the first 25 players. The top 25 players on my big board. Now, the top 25, it covers the first 3 rounds of your draft, depending on how many people in your league. A team of 8 or a league of 8 players, that's your first 3 rounds. A league of 10, that's your first 2. And if you're one of those leagues that have 14 players in them, it's 1 pick for each player, and only a couple of them will get a second round pick in the top 25. I won a 14-player league 2 years ago when I had the 13th overall pick. So anything's possible in fantasy football. So let's get to my big board. Although, let me just say before I get to it, I'm planning to host a YouTube fantasy league. So some that should be interested in this kind of suggestion: Jet Central, Mason Talks, Stillwater Sports Cards, Global Sports Commentator, Eli Runner, Tanner Smith 12, Paxton Rants. Just many people that should be interested. If you're interested, actually, comment your email address you use for your YouTube channel below, and I'll send you the invite. So, the number 1 player on my big board, Adrian Peterson. Why he's the number 1 player on my big board? It's just simple. Because I like to go with running backs first. Running backs are the ones that get the most points. Running backs fantasy football are a premium. You can invest in wide receivers and quarterbacks in later rounds. So Adrian Peterson is my number 1 player because I think he's going to carry the Vikings again this season. I think Teddy Bridgewater will throw the ball more, but I still think Peterson's going to carry that team to the playoffs. Number 2 on my big board, I have Le'Veon Bell. Why do I have him? Because he's trying to set up for a comeback. After he had a season-ending injury last season, he's looking to make a comeback. Although Roethlisberger has Antonio Brown to throw to, he'll still look for Le'Veon Bell, at least on first and second down. So Le'Veon Bell is a key first and second down running back. So you need to invest in Le'Veon Bell, in my opinion. Number 3, this is going to be a shocker, but Eddie Lacy, the Packers running back. Sure, the Packers got off to a strong start last season. However, it kind of just fell off on the Packers a little bit. And I think Eddie Lacy, I think he's going to do much better this season. I think he'll shine. I think the Packers will probably run the ball more, maybe, because they don't want to risk any injury to wide receivers, especially what happened to Jordy Nelson last year in preseason. Randall Cobb in the playoff game against Arizona. I think they're going to want to be careful with the wideouts. So I think Eddie Lacy is going to really, I think he's really going to put the Packers offense on his back this season. Number 4, Antonio Brown. Now this is the first wide receiver on my big board, because Antonio Brown is no doubtedly the best wide receiver in the league. And he's number 1 on many other big boards, but not mine. Because if you draft Antonio Brown first overall, not only are you making a huge mistake with the first round pick, but you're probably costing the entire league. Because the ones that win the leagues, the ones that are the overall champions, are the ones that take running backs first. So there's your secret number 1. Take a running back for the first round pick. And depending on how many people in your league, do it in the second round as well. So I helped you out a little bit. Number 5, Odell Beckham Jr. The second best wide receiver in the league. Although, something that you might want to consider is when they play the Redskins this season. Because who's on the Redskins now? Josh Norman. And what happened last time Josh Norman and Odell Beckham played each other? Yeah, that's right. So be careful if you draft Odell Beckham. Be sure to watch when they play the Redskins, because that's maybe when you might want to consider trading him. Because the new personal foul rule, 2 personal fouls and you're ejected. But maybe if it's somebody like Odell Beckham, who knows? Maybe it could lead into maybe a 2-game suspension. Number 6, Todd Gurley, the running back for the Rams. Now the Rams drafted Jared Goff with the first overall pick. after sacrificing a bunch. Jared Goff needs to get that experience. But having Todd Gurley is really going to help put the pressure off Jared Goff. So I expect Todd Gurley to carry the Rams offense for a majority of the season. In fact, I will boldly say that Todd Gurley is probably going to be the top fantasy running back this season, is what I think. Because I don't see Jared Goff throwing the ball a whole lot. I actually see him running the football way more than any team in the league. I could see that happening. Because when you have an inexperienced quarterback like Jared Goff, you want him to get the reps, you do want him to get the experience. Maybe just throw some screen passes to Todd Gurley. That's what's going to get Todd Gurley points. And that's what's going to get you points if you put Todd Gurley on your team. Number 7, David Johnson, the running back for the Cardinals. Yes, the rookie had a great season last year. But I think it's probably a one-season wonder. So I think this is somebody you might want to consider passing on. If you're desperate to draft a running back, though, draft David Johnson, though. Although I would consider passing, because usually rookies that do well one season don't really do well the next season necessarily. So that's someone you want to consider passing on if you can. If you don't want to, that's okay, because you need at least 2 solid running backs to win your league. And David Johnson can win you your league, but he won't have the consistent numbers this season, in my opinion. Number 8, Ezekiel Elliott, the rookie out of Ohio State, who's now on the Cowboys. Now, Ezekiel Elliott's most likely going to start now because Derek McFadden's supposed to be out for about 2 to 3 months. So it looks like Ezekiel Elliott's going to probably be the start of this season. And yes, you should put him on your team because Ezekiel Elliott is on the Cowboys, and the Cowboys have arguably one of the best offenses in the NFL. You saw what DeMarco Murray did 2 years ago with the Cowboys offense. I expect Ezekiel Elliott to do the exact same thing. So put Ezekiel Elliott on your team. Number 9, Julio Jones, the wide receiver for the Falcons. Really strong wideout. Probably the only good receiver on the Falcons right now after they released Roddy White in the offseason. Justin Hardy is still inexperienced. Mohamed Sanu has the speed, but I don't know if he's going to fit into the system right away. So Julio Jones is going to be Matt Ryan's go-to all season. So put Julio on the team if you have that chance. Number 10, Rob Gronkowski, the Gronkinator. If you are really desperate, if you draft a tight end in the first round, make sure it's Rob Gronkowski. Don't be the guy that just drafts a random person that nobody expects in the first round. Because that's childish and it's disrespectful to the sport of fantasy football. Fantasy football is to compete, not be childish. So, if you want to draft a tight end round 1, make sure it's Rob Gronkowski. Don't be childish. 11, Dez Bryant. Now, Dez Bryant missed most of the season last year with a broken foot. So you bet he's going to look up to put some of the X's up. So look for Dez Bryant. Actually, put him on your roster if you're looking for a wide receiver. Probably in the second round or first, depending on how many people in your league. Again, if you have like the 14-person league or the 12-person league or 10, maybe Dez Bryant's probably a first-round pick, depending on who the people are in your league. I'll put a fantasy football advice video up pretty soon. I just got to finish up some pieces of advice and kind of put it into my words on how to present it. 12, DeAndre Hopkins. Now, DeAndre Hopkins, I think his numbers are going to increase this year. I think this is the one you want to take. This is the one I would take if I had to draft a wide receiver right now. Because DeAndre Hopkins now has Brock Osweiler to throw to him. Last year, Hopkins had Brian Hoyer, Ryan Mallett. Just all these different quarterbacks throwing to him. But now he has Brock Osweiler. So look for Hopkins to increase his numbers this season. Number 13, Devonta Freeman, the running back for the Falcons. Yes, Julio Jones is going to be the go-to wide receiver. But Devonta Freeman, he proved himself last season. In fact, he was a 38th running back listed, or the average 38th running back taken in last year's drafts on ESPN. So I expect Devonta Freeman to have a huge season. He started off strong, but when it got to the end of the season, it kind of just fell apart a little bit for him. But I think he's going to improve this season. I think he'll get even better this year. I don't think he's going to do well in the beginning, but in the long run, it's going to really pay off. In fact, I see the Falcons probably doing something the Panthers did. Maybe start off really strong, maybe be consistent throughout the year. I could see that with the Falcons, especially having Devonta Freeman at running back. Number 14, A.J. Green. Now, A.J. Green's always going to be one of those strong wide receivers. In fact, he can get numbers every single week. I think A.J. Green... the AFC North is filled with consistent wide receivers. Antonio Brown, A.J. Green. Travis Benjamin was kind of consistent for the Browns, but not all the time. Gary Barnidge is kind of the consistent wide receiver for the Browns. He's going to be the number one target for RG3 for the Browns this season, Gary Barnidge. Although he's a tight end, but that's one of the first people you can target probably between maybe around 6 or 7 or 8. At the end, I will kind of present other players to target outside the top 25 on my big board. But 15, I have Jamaal Charles running back for the Chiefs. And Jamaal Charles had a season-ending ACL injury, although this is about the second or third ACL injury that he's had, or the third or fourth season-ending injury. So it's a risk drafting Jamaal Charles. But if you're willing to take that risk, it's going to pay off for you. Because Jamaal Charles, he's based on the Chiefs' offense. Although the Chiefs did strong by having that huge winning streak to get into the playoffs. What really got the Chiefs on that winning streak, it was the easy scheduling and it was the defense. So when Jamaal Charles is out there, the Chiefs are going to do really strong on offense. Number 16, our first quarterback, Aaron Rodgers. I don't need to say what team he's from because everybody knows. So, Aaron Rodgers, he started off strong last season, but the wheels fell off of him. I think having Jordy Nelson healthy again, Randall Cobb healthy again, it's going to get Aaron Rodgers to start throwing that football more. He's going to look for those 2 targets. And going into the next thing, Jordy Nelson's the 17th overall player. If you're that guy that has back-to-back picks, like if you're in a, 8-person league, and you have picks 16 and 17, if Aaron Rodgers and Jordy Nelson aren't there, use it on both of them. Because a quarterback and a wide receiver, that is your connection right there. When Aaron Rodgers scores, when Jordy Nelson gets a touchdown catch, Aaron Rodgers gets the touchdown pass. So that's one of the formulas to use. Take a quarterback on somebody's team and put him with the best wide receiver or their top target. That's what's going to get you the points. Although it's going to kind of cost you at least 1 week when they're on the bye. But that's what the waiver wire is for. Number 18, Doug Martin, the running back for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, I think Doug Martin, he's going to really improve this season. It's going to take some of the pressure off Jameis Winston a little bit. Because Jameis Winston still needs to fit in with the system in Tampa Bay. Although, Jameis Winston has Mike Evans to throw to. He has Vincent Jackson to throw to. Doug Martin, he's always going to be the running back for Tampa Bay. He's always going to be that go-to guy. The one that relieves the pressure off the receivers and the quarterback. Number 19, Brandon Marshall. Now, nobody really knows who the Jets quarterback's going to be. Is it going to be Geno Smith? Are they going to re-sign Ryan Fitzpatrick? Or are they going to go with Christian Hackenberg or Bryce Petty? Whoever it is, they better throw it to Brandon Marshall because Brandon Marshall's their best wide receiver on the team. And Brandon Marshall's going to be their top receiver. He's going to be the go-to guy on third down. He's always going to be the one they look for. Him and Eric Decker. Although Eric Decker's not in the top 25, you can still look for him. Maybe you can look for Eric Decker rounds 5 or 6. Number 20, Lamar Miller. The running back out of Houston who's newly signed with the team through free agency. With no Arian Foster, the Texans are looking for Lamar Miller to carry that load. And I expect him to do that. So draft Lamar Miller if you have the chance. 21, Alshon Jeffrey, the wide receiver for the Bears. Jay Cutler has had Alshon Jeffrey as his favorite target for a couple of years now. And I see that continuing because they no longer have Martellus Bennett. Kevin White probably will see the field this season most likely, but I still see Alshon Jeffrey being Jay Cutler's number one go-to guy again this season. So look for Alshon Jeffrey to get a bunch of points. Number 22, Cam Newton, the Panthers quarterback. You still got to draft Cam Newton because he's got Greg Olsen. He's got Kelvin Benjamin returning this season, so that's going to be a plus. Cam Newton's going to have his favorite target back this season. So draft Cam Newton if you want. If you're the guy that invests in quarterbacks early, make sure you grab Cam Newton. Because don't forget, Cam Newton's also a running quarterback, and a rushing touchdown is 6 points. Number 23, Allen Robinson, the wide receiver of the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jaguars haven't been that strong of a team, but they're getting better. They're improving. Allen Robinson is going to continue improving for the Jaguars and your fantasy team if you draft him, because he's going to be Blake Bortles' number one target. Him and Allen Hurns are going to probably split the receptions, and Julius Thomas probably gets him a little bit. So if you want to draft at least one of those three, you can. 24, Thomas Rawls, the running back for the Seahawks. It's a big shoe to fill for Marshawn Lynch. But I think Thomas Rawls is the guy to do that. We saw how he did when Marshawn Lynch was out last season with the abdominal injury. Although this is kind of another one of the risky picks. But it's a pick that you can be willing to take the risk for. Especially if you're desperate for a running back. When it's around round 3 or 4 and you still don't have a running back on your team, Thomas Rawls is one you're willing to take a risk for. And 25, that rounds out my top 25 big board, Brandon Cooks, wide receiver for the Saints. Now, Drew Brees kind of getting up there in age. Brandon Cooks, he's going to be a strong wide receiver because last year when they didn't have Jimmy Graham, Brandon Cooks was Drew Brees' number one go-to guy. And I see it happening again this season because Brandon Cooks has the speed, he has the athleticism, he has the catching ability. So make sure you draft Brandon Cooks because he'll get you some good numbers. So that's my top 25. Some other people can look for later in the rounds. You can look for Amari Cooper, wide receiver for the Raiders. He's going to be good again this season. You can also look for Jason Witten, another great tight end. Look for Greg Olsen, Kelvin Benjamin. Look for Demaryius Thomas. Although it's kind of going to be a risky one because we have no idea if it's going to be Paxton Lynch or Mark Sanchez starting. So think about it if you're going to draft Demaryius Thomas. He would be in the top 25, but I think it's too big of a risk to draft him really early. You can also look for Jimmy Graham. Sure, it could be a risk again. Look for Russell Wilson because he has Doug Baldwin on a newly extended contract. Jimmy Graham, he's got Jermaine Kearse, Ricardo Lockett, Rashard Matthews. So look for Russell Wilson. Andrew Luck. We can expect Andrew Luck to have big numbers this season because he has something to prove now with that new contract. Anyway, that's just some of the players that you can look for in later rounds. I kind of explained some earlier in the video. So leave a like, comment if you'd like, comment if you're interested in my YouTubers Fantasy League. I'll probably end up having multiple ones because fantasy football is a really popular event. So if like 30 people want to join, I'll probably make like 3 different leagues. That way everybody can play a league against me. So I think it'd be really cool to see how YouTubers compete against each other in fantasy football. I think it'll be really interesting. Also, subscribe to the channel. Although the subscribers rate is not going up for me, and it's probably not going up for anybody else either, because this week there were some rumors that like there's some hack or something like that YouTube's doing to take people's subscribers away, like taking like a handful of subscribers away. I've seen some people complain about that a little bit this week. So also be sure that we're subscribed to my channel, just in case it says that you're not, because the hack's kind of going around. Also, let me know if I'm not subscribed to you, just in case if the hack kind of made me unsubscribe to some people that I didn't even know about. So, also like my new Facebook page. I'll put the link in the description box below. Now, until next time, have a great day, everybody. Also, share with your friends, too. That'd mean a lot.